Republicans praised President Trump's leadership as the party kicked off its convention in North Carolina. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott capped the night that included an appearance by Trump during the broadcast. He was at the White House meeting with frontline workers, including nurses and postal workers. Trump campaign advisor and Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, issued a virulent attack on Democrats, and she painted a bleak picture of America with Joe Biden in charge.
President Trump is the leader who will rebuild the promise of America and ensure that every citizen can realize their American dream. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
All right, let's go now to CTV's Tom Walters. He's standing by with more for us this morning. Good morning to you, Tom. Boy, that speech from Kimberly Guilfoyle, stealing the show in a sense. A lot of people were on Twitter, on social media, talking about the message that came from her and wondering, were the Republicans really trying to send out a message of optimism and harmony last night? She sounded quite angry at moments.
Well, I mean, some of the descriptions go so far as to say unhinged. And there were certainly some brighter spots for the Republicans in their convention last night than that speech, which I think would actually be quite alarming to some people to hear. I mean, Kimberly Guilfoyle seemed to have learned her oratorical style from, foreign films of the 1930s. And I don't know that I've seen a human being get that much like a Disney cartoon villain. I was starting to really worry about the safety of some Dalmatian puppies. She was in such a high state of agitation and drama that I think it certainly did call attention to her speech, and in some ways may have eclipsed speeches that were much more on point and on message for the message that the Republicans were trying to send yesterday.
Yeah. And people were pointing out, there's no one in the room with you. You don't need to yell. So, Tom, in terms of the other speeches of the night, and there were others, Nikki Haley among them, what did you make, what stood out for you last night? Again, as the Republicans following the Democrats, where we heard what a great guy Joe Biden was and how he's going to be the antidote for America. What stood out for you last evening?
Well, there were two or three messages that the Republicans really wanted to convey. One, trying to sort of deny the aura of racism that has surrounded the Trump administration. Two, trying to say that the president has not mishandled the coronavirus pandemic. And three, portraying the Democrats as extremists and ideologues, a dangerous kind of left-wing movement. And they had mixed success with that. I think where Nikki Haley fits into the picture is that she was part of the, denying racism movement. Senator Tim Scott, I think, was really quite effective on that point as the last speaker of the night. Nikki Haley had a little bit of a problem because she really had to tiptoe around her own best credentials on diversity. I mean, here's somebody who should be able to present a very strong and compelling message that the party is not racist, but at the same time, she was very, very coy about what she had done as governor of South Carolina in getting the Confederate flag removed from the state capitol. Well, the party these days, in its appeal to social warriors, is all in on the preservation of Confederate monuments. So when Haley spoke about that, she really sidestepped it and just referred to it as a divisive symbol or monument, never mentioned removing the Confederate flag because, so here you've got an anti-racist message coming from somebody who's treading delicately not to offend the racists.
Do you think that she was there last night, not only to support the president, but to say, here's the future of the Republican Party past President Trump, post-Trump?
Well, I guess that's a question that could be asked about many of the speakers there last night, or several of them at least. Yes, that's certainly a question that could be asked about Nikki Haley. It's a question that could be asked about Don Jr. It's a question that could be asked about Tim Scott. But I think the challenge for anybody who is in that position, perhaps trying to be foreshadowing of a different future for the Republican Party, is that different future is not the one they're selling in this election. What they're selling in this election is 4 more years of Donald Trump.
All right. Who are we expecting to hear from tonight, Tom?
Well, Melania Trump will be one of the keynote speakers tonight at the convention, and of course, we expect to hear pretty much on a daily basis from the president himself.
All right. Tom Walters for us. Tom, great to talk to you. See you soon.